how do you two know each other?
Yeah, so we've known each other about, what's it been, 12 weeks? About 3 months now. I told you this was a bad idea. She doesn't want to do this. She never wants to talk. You know what? I don't want to do this interview, okay? It's done. She doesn't want to talk. I don't want to talk either, okay? We're done.
On a dark and stormy night, a week behind the rest of the class, a project was bestowed upon me. Envelope B, containing 3 seeds, unbeknownst to me what it may be, became a subject of the trials known as the B. Arthur tests. Planted in the mini pot, the black soil became the blanket to creation. As the gardener waits in anxious anticipation, what shall grow? What shall we know? To find out and to understand is the ultimate plan. Watered at first dusk, an abundance of water, it was too much. The seed was drowned before it learned to breathe. The gardener worried the experiment was dead before life even began. And eventually, almost a full fortnight without any growth, before all hope was lost, one last Hail Mary was tossed. The soaking seed was placed in a bush, surrounded by its natural companions and absorbed by the sun. Success reigned on the plant, and once the soil was parched for the first time since the initial watering, it was brought inside to return to the science of a controlled environment, carefully watered for the second time around, with bated breaths and hopes unbound. A small seedling made its way to the surface, growing nervous, yet with purpose. Day by day, the plant affectionately known as B. Arthur grew, millimetre by millimetre. It was bathed in artificial sunlight for 20 hours per day and rained upon, roughly twice a week. Purified water only, as the tap was too harsh and caused a chemical imbalance in the plant and in the soil, momentarily causing pause, worried the project was foiled. As the gardener, weeks were spent nurturing B, anticipating its every need. Yet the ultimate teacher was the plant that we see. With patience and attempts, we learn the gentle nature of the greenery that we keep. The plant was alive, not human, yet breathing. It has a set of genetics, it has sensory capabilities, and B. Arthur loves jazz. Every time there was a worry about the state of being, leaves were shriveled, colours changed, and no growth detected. Playing the likes of Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald to Miles Davis and Nat King Cole soothed the problem. Undetectable to the human eye, yet noticeable over time, the vibrations massaged her very being, encouraging her, motivating her, and helping her grow. She danced in the moonlight and basked in her glory, and she grew, and she grew. Surviving and thriving after almost fatal beginnings, eventually, a bag was placed over top. Barely any room for air to escape, water hit her leaves, and then she was placed solitary in Ziploc. This confinement wasn't punishment, it was opportunity. The bag traps the gases, the moisture, and the plant's hard work to be recycled back to her. The greenhouse effect in full swing, B. Arthur was all warm and snug, and it gave her the confidence to keep progressing. She stands now, strong in her roots, yet not yet bearing any fruits. Her motherhood has not begun, but when it does, peppers for everyone. Around week 6, worry began. Her leaves had yellowed and her stems were seeming frail. I researched and researched, changed the water regime, less sunlight, more sunlight, change of scenery, yet nothing. The colour remained as she grew increasingly frail, and then, light bulb, she had officially outgrown her pot. A moment of celebration, followed by immediate action. Purchase of a bigger pot, purchase of new soil. She needed the upgrade, and she needed the new space. Upon removal of the class-issued pot, her roots were entangled and crushed. The problem, extraordinarily evident, she simply had nowhere to move, and she lacked the nutrients that she needed. The new pot was a welcome surprise for her. The new soil was a rejuvenating experience. Her colour came back. The vibrant health and the emerald greens of the leaves were relieving, and she began to grow again. The bounce back from a decline was apparent and appreciated. Many of mistakes made by me, and I assume many as made by thee. Planting is new. Sunlight, water, and attention is a recipe without measurement, a balancing act of literal proportions, and a confirmation by observation only. Yet B. Arthur is alive. I am indeed surprised, as my green thumb is usually black, yet here she stands. I wonder about the process of her growth and her continued survival. What futures and what future trials we shall face. I once was under the assumption that plant motherhood was an abundance of work, yet the pet plant project exceeded expectations of ownership, as it wasn't much work at all. Be there in the beginning. Make a decision. Observe the effects and correct the course. That was all it took. As her stems grow mightier than a sword, as the experiment comes to a close, I feel grateful for my time with B, and I will continue to see her thrive, hopefully until I can dine on the fruits of her labour. 12 weeks with my beautiful plant, and I shall keep the adventure going, as each day the plot thickens, and each day I root for her.